I have a question for you that I should have asked earlier.
What?
You have Audacity running? Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi, Emily.
Just knock something over. It's fine.
Can you not?
I have water this week, and I'm gonna do my very best not to choke on it. Oh,
Okay.
I'm not really in frame, am I?
Real quick, because she's gonna hate me for it.
Oh,
Oh.
I'm getting myself in frame. I was out of frame.
Real quick, and she's gonna hate me for it. Happy early birthday, Emily. Tomorrow is your birthday. You turn 27. And if you're watching this on YouTube, her birthday was 2 days ago. How fucking dare you miss it?
I don't know. I know I've talked to other people about this. I talk about it a lot. I don't think you've ever seen Pride and Prejudice, but the main character and her best friend in that movie are 27, and the best friend has this line where she's getting married to this really ridiculous man, and her friend is like, I can't believe you're marrying this ridiculous man, and she goes, I'm 27 years old. I have no money, no prospects. I'm already a burden to my parents, and I'm frightened. And that's me. I'm 27 as of tomorrow. I have no money, no prospects, and I'm frightened.
I've
Definitely
heard
a burden to my parents.
I've heard that sound on TikTok so many times. People use it so often. I almost used it, and I did not. I ended up not using it, even though I was 27 when I saw it.
I'm very excited to be a burden tomorrow. So.
And then
yay.
For one day only and one day alone, you will be the same age as my wife.
It's true. It's true. One day, one 24-hour period where we are the same.
364 days apart.
We've always been birthday twins, and that's worked really well for us.
And then right after is more birthdays. I'm not going to dox whose those are, but there are birthdays the day after too.
One of my cousin's birthdays is the same birthday as mine, and then my grandmother's birthday is also the 20th, and then I have another friend whose birthday is also the 20th.
That's too much.
That's a lot in 2 days.
That's too much birthday. I thought it was bad because in December, it's my birthday. It's my dad's birthday. My dad has a twin. My dad's twin brother's son is the same as both of theirs. My grandfather's birthday. My grandmother's birthday. I thought December was bad.
And then Jesus' birthday.
Jesus' birthday. True.
Oh, wait, I'm not looking at the blink lamp.
Oh, yeah. It's fine. It's so fine.
See, now it will look like I'm talking to you.
July babies are superior. Oh, wait. That's right. Okay, well, I guess this is intro. We can read a little chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, though, just note this is the podcast section. At the end of the video, we will stay live and release a second part. We call it the after party, where we talk to chat and they argue the stupid things that we say on this thing. Emily, did you create your piece of paper that says Blake is wrong?
Oh, hold on.
she didn't make it.
I can fix it.
This is important lore.
Yeah, but here's the thing about Zelda Lore. What's that one game show where it's everything's made up and the rules don't matter?
Whose line is it anyways?
Yeah, that is basically the summary for Zelda Lore.
Timeline doesn't matter.
Everything's made up and nothing matters because it doesn't make sense. At least that's how I feel after this latest installment.
Okay, let me ask this then. Which is more convoluted? Kingdom Hearts or Legend of Zelda?
I think Kingdom Hearts for sure. Zelda, I'm just you blew up your own timeline, whereas Kingdom Hearts makes my head hurt and I can't figure it out and then I cry.
Kingdom Hearts blew up its own timeline. No, I'm correct about this. Kingdom Hearts did blow up its own timeline. Whenever you have that in frame, it completely it doesn't get rid of the green screen, but everything turns black.
Where do I need to hold it? Okay. It's to signal that something is going on.
Kingdom Hearts timeline blew up itself like Zelda's. However, they keep trying to make reasonings why it didn't blow up and are trying to put band-aids all over it.
It makes my brain hurt, whereas Zelda's, I'm like, all right, but that's stupid or something. Whereas Kingdom Hearts, I'm physically what is happening? What is going on? I don't know anymore.
Who is this person?
Has it been 500 years? I just simply cannot know.
Is this Sora? Like, is this Sora?
I feel like Kingdom Hearts, if you ever watched the show Once Upon a Time, they did this at the beginning where they'd be like 27 years ago, 312 years ago. It got very specific with the amount of years. And I feel like Kingdom Hearts is like that, to the point where you're like trying to figure out how many years are in between things and your head hurts. Whereas like the further they went into the show, they just started saying a very long time ago. And I feel like that's how Zelda approaches things. We're like, that was a really long time. Don't worry about it, man. Like, that was forever ago. Like, don't stress.
See, that's what confuses me about the timeline, because they keep saying, like, oh, you know, your descendants are going to keep going down as you die. But every Zelda game is like 1,000 years apart.
Yeah. It's so hard to, like, be like, okay, wait, who comes next? Because there's so many years in between. And the rules are made up and they don't matter.
Right off the bat, I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna preface this actually. Last episode we had like an outline, like discussing like what order so we could stay on track. We didn't do it this time. I was at a bachelor party. She was out of town. Work had us both just screwed up the past couple weeks. So
winging it, baby.
This is.
I guess it.
Huh?
I needed to move my mic closer. There we go.
A little bit. Okay. So I already talked to you about this, though. I no longer think Breath of the Wild connects the timelines at all. I do not think that's it.
So let me preface this by saying that in preparation for this, I pulled up a Zelda timeline.
Oh, well, you're ahead of me. I didn't do that.
Because I wanted to like see, and this one was updated for 2023, so it's updated for Tears of the Kingdom, and it's a Reddit one, so nothing is official. But it still puts Tears of the Kingdom at the end of the timeline, right? But it just makes no sense. Where do the Zonai fit into this timeline? That is my big whopping question.
I have theories.
Where does this one belong?
And
please share them.
Yes, because I kind of already did with you, but we'll see. So essentially, here's what I think. I think Breath of the Wild is at the end of the adult timeline. I don't think it's at the end of the other timelines. Mainly because my only real argument is the Rito. I mean, that's the only real argument I have, is because the Ritos don't exist in any other timeline but the adult timeline, because the Zora had to evolve because of the Great Flood.
This is true. Yes.
Correct.
Okay, continue.
But that also being said, that argument kind of crumbles because there are no Zora in the other Zelda games, which is also weird that the Zora have to evolve because the whole world is water and they swim. Why are they the ones that had to evolve?
So the way I read it was that they had to evolve because the Zora only previously occupied Zora's domain, which was like pure fresh water. And at the Great Sea was like polluted salt water. And so they like couldn't survive in it.
Oh, that explains like an evolutionary split then. So evolve into birds and then evolve into Zora that can breathe in everything, all water.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like we're doing the work for Nintendo by saying that, because I feel like Nintendo was just like, birds. And then when they got to Breath of the Wild, they were like, remember the Zoras? We should bring those dudes back, and just kind of did that. And we're like building pieces together that didn't exist in Nintendo's mind.
They didn't think about this at all, but this is my own headcanon.
Yes.
Now, given that information I said, though, about the adult timeline, right? Great Flood happens. Ganon's dead in Wind Waker. Great Flood starts to end. There's really no... I mean, okay, you get 2 more games with that link. You get Spirit Tracks and you get Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah.
So I think the water may still be there, but I think essentially at the end of that timeline, that's when the Zonai come in. Is they come down to this mostly barren land now because it used to be covered in water. Which is why we have mountains and everything now in Hyrule.
Weird to me, though. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, that's where I think they fit in. I think they fit in after Wind Waker. If you count Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass in the timeline, probably after that too, but I haven't played those games, so I can't say. I've heard I can avoid them, though.
Could mostly get behind this theory. Mostly.
Oh, no.
My only big qualm is that they really emphasize, and I think maybe I could get over it if they didn't emphasize this, that Rauru was the first king of Hyrule. He founded Hyrule. He created Hyrule, right? Which obviously, if Hyrule had been destroyed in the Great Flood and they had to let it go at the end of Wind Waker, it was a new Hyrule. But again, I guess in my mind, it bothers me that there's been several Hyrules before this, probably with hundreds of kings leading up to this, and they're like, nah, man, Rauru, he's the boy. There's even been people named Rauru. There was a Rauru in Ocarina of Time.
There was. Yep.
So he's not the first king of Hyrule, and I feel like the only way Nintendo said that was because they truly wanted to establish him as such. And it feels like that's the only way it makes sense to have the Zonai, because where did their tech go?
That brings me to theory number 2. Theory number 2 is that they technically come before the events of Skyward Sword, which doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. No. It can't be. It can't be before Skyward Sword, because that would mean that the goddess Hyla was still around.
It could be after, when everyone starts going back to the ground.
That was my thinking, that maybe somewhere in there, I guess I read theories, or someone mentioned it to me, that maybe Link and Zelda in Skyward Sword did not create Hyrule. Maybe they just started putting the land back together, but they never actually got it up to a full kingdom. And then somewhere in this, the Zonai around. I truly don't. It doesn't make sense to me, because Skyward Sword already had people in the sky, right? And the whole Zonai thing was that, they had this civilization in the sky. Okay, so the Zonai had a civilization in the sky, and the Hylians had a civilization in the sky, and we just, missed each other?
There is one way we can break this, I guess. The way that the whole it can be before Skyward Sword is broken is that technically Demise's thing happens after, during Skyward Sword. Technically, you could have some kind of Ganon, Link, and Zelda before, and then they just had kids eventually, many descendants just through bloodline, and then Demise they fought this guy and sealed him away. I'll use him. I don't know.
Wait. So you're saying that somewhere in between the goddess Hyla sending
Din,
the Hylians up to the sky, the Hylians up to the sky, and in between when that started and when the events of Skyward Sword begin, that the Zonai were there, or that's when Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild took place?
No, that's when the Zonai were there. Yeah, no. There's no way that Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild fit in that timeline. There's no possible way.
Because, and I don't know if they just did this for Easter egg purposes and didn't realize they kind of shot themselves in the foot timeline-wise, but, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom had so many, locations from Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword that you could go to. So they have to come after those games.
Yeah. Well, those locations can exist. I don't know. They can still exist after the Zonai come, because this game is definitely after those other games, sure, but the Zonai can come before all those events.
Yeah, the Zonai could have occurred. I'm just see, this is a huge reason I didn't like the Zonai. If they were going to, first of all, we talked the last time that we agreed they weren't very fleshed out. They didn't do much with them. It felt purposeless to include them, but also they just contradict everything the series has created so far. There has been no sign, elements, or any remnants of this whole species that apparently created Hyrule. Where did they go? Where did their technology go? If their king was literally one of the Zonai.
So,
where are they?
That made me think of one thing specifically from Skyward Sword, and I never would have thought of this unless you forced me to play it like you did.
Hell yeah.
The desert area in Skyward Sword, the little time robots.
Yeah.
Think about it. Sonia's got the time stone. Those are little robots.
Are you saying that the robots are the love child of Sonia in Rauru?
No, I'm just saying they're like constructs. They're like the constructs.
Well, that's my point. I think, and I guess I'm going back to criticizing Tears of the Kingdom. We could have just had the robots in this one. Like, we didn't need the constructs. We could have literally just taken the robots from Skyward Sword and put them in this one. We could have taken the Sky Islands from Skyward Sword and put them in this one. I don't know why we made a whole new species. It doesn't make any sense. If, like, literally we had a species in the Skyward Sword reality that could have time stones and robots and technology, I don't understand why we made literally almost an identical creation.
I don't know. I mean, it's the same. Like, that's how I felt about their rebranding of Redeads, though. They're Gibdos now.
Yes, but like, that doesn't make or break the timeline.
But doesn't it? I don't know. I'm just saying shit.
Okay, let me pose this question to you.
Oh no.
Did you ever play Hyrule Warriors?
No. Wait, you're talking about Age of Calamity, not the original.
No, I'm talking about Hyrule Warriors, the original one.
I didn't play either, technically.
But. Awesome, because I haven't either. And that's not going to help us at all because, so the timeline I'm looking at, just to like spitball and get us talking, it splits it off into like the 3 main timelines, right? What I love about this one is it also includes a 4th branch somewhere off of Wind Waker where Tingle gets the Triforce. And that's where we end up with Tingle's balloon trip of love and whatnot. Anyway.
That should be a playoff Four Swords Adventures, but I'll talk about that later.
I think, no, it doesn't have that. It has it after Fan Manifest. But then it shows the 3 main timelines converge at Hyrule Warriors, where it says the United World and the Calamity. Oh, wait, sorry. It says Ganon is resurrected, 3 worlds become 1. And then it goes into an Untitled Breath of the Wild prequel, which is confusing. And then after that, it splits into 2 timelines again, where the Calamity is prevented with Age of Calamity. So Age of Calamity is its own timeline.
Yeah.
And then Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are their own. And it says, see, I don't get this because I played Tears of the Kingdom and I did not feel this was the case. The true Calamity awakens, eternal recurrence is ensured. Terraco is built to prevent reoccurrence from happening again. Everything returns to 0.
So I can get behind that because, I mean, obviously, Calamity Ganon was created by the Ganon under Hyrule. There's no doubt in my mind about that. That just makes complete sense. That was his Spirit Awakening. And after starting to replay Breath of the Wild recently and finding the red goo just everywhere, I'm like, oh, that's obviously Gloom, except it hurts you instead of taking away your hearts permanently.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense to me. But here's the problem. Nintendo already came out and said neither Age of Calamity, including Age of Calamity and regular Hyrule Warriors, neither are canon. They have said it themselves, these are not canon.
Here's the thing. How much do we want to listen to Nintendo? Because I think, like, this is kind of like the author is dead, right? Like, you threw this content out here, Nintendo. You created these stories. Great. Good for you. Shut up. Go away. Like, leave me to it. Unless you're going to explain to me. Because, you know, they also have come out and, like, published timelines. And then have gone back and changed the timelines. And then said the timelines aren't canon. So, like, leave me be, Nintendo. Unless you're going to give me a legitimate timeline where that includes the Zonai. Leave me. The author is dead. I will interpret things however I want.
Okay, let's talk about, because we alluded to this multiple times in the last episode. Let's allude to what we thought was going to happen. Okay, in Tears of the Kingdom.
You mean what I wish would have happened, but like didn't? Actually, you know what? Yeah. Okay. So we thought, you and I originally, if I'm on the right track, that this was essentially going to be the end of the reincarnation cycle, or it would be the restarting of the reincarnation cycle. We were going to go back to Debais and Hyla. We were going to potentially end things, or this would be a prequel to Skyward Sword, the Ouroboros, that everything
Yeah.
is a circle that loops up.
Well, and we even thought that demon form Ganon was Demise at one point.
Which he basically was in design.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real, he basically was.
It looked the exact same.
This Nintendo really looked at Tears of the Kingdom and was like, man, we loved Skyward Sword. Let's just like take all the elements of Skyward Sword and then put them in this game, but then pretend Skyward Sword didn't exist.
Like, Jesus Christ.
So, I mean, in a way, I feel like we almost achieved part of that, right? Like, we didn't get Demise and Hylia coming back, which would have been the pinnacle for me. I feel like we did at the end of the reincarnation cycle. Like, we killed the Demon King, who was under Hyrule. We restored the Master Sword. We purged the gloom from the land. We have the sages.
But Ganon's called the Demon King in Ocarina of Time as well as Twilight Princess. He's not just the Demon King in this. He was killed in all those games. He's not called the Demon King in Wind Waker.
No, but that's just because he's like a dude in Wind Waker.
He's just a boomer.
Bring it back. It is just a boomer. Like, he's really not like... I love that Ganon for like one of two reasons. First of all, I think there's just one instance where he just slapped Link, which I thought was hysterical. Just like backhands him across the room. Name another Ganon should just like punch the lights out of a small child. All right. Like, he meant business, and then he just shows up at the end, and he actually has a motivation. He's like, my motivation was the wind was nice to Hyrule, and it was mean to me. I didn't like it. It was mean to me. And so then he takes out some swords, he fights a small child, and then he drowns. He also actually gets the Triforce. I think he was a great Ganon.
Also, the way he's slaughtered. Like, people complain about Toon Link. Toon Link stabs him in the fucking brain. In the brain. Just...
Right in
it. We need to call CPS against Ganon.
He just, like, I remember playing this as a child and just being so absolutely baffled. You get up and he doesn't, like, because normally Ganon's like, haha, I got my magical powers, watch me. Like, in Ocarina of Time, when Link runs up to him after Zelda has trotted off, he, like, again uses his powers. He is always using those powers. Not Wind Waker Ganon. He backhanded Link across that room. 10 out of 10.
This is why it's the best Zelda game of all time. Thank you.
Second best, but like it's real out there.
Look, Skyward Sword would be close, except I have to hit a guy's toes. I have to hit a giant monster's toes. And I didn't like that very much.
You know what? That's so valid. I actually hate the imprisoned fights so bad.
I mean, the imprisoned is just Demise, just with giant toes.
Yeah, it's odd, but it's still a fantastic game.
Okay.
But I think something I missed from this game, talking about lore, is I really did like that at the end, or at the beginning of a good chunk of Zelda games, they always had the, like, once upon a time, there was a hero. And I think that really kind of set the tone for where we were in the timeline. Like, Wind Waker, you could clearly tell it was an offshoot of Ocarina of Time with the whole beginning where they talk about the hero clothed in green who defeated the evil king and he turned into this monster, and then when he disappeared, blah, 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 blah. You kind of get that. Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, they just kind of throw you in. You have no idea where in this timeline you exist and where the hero is in all of this. Is he still part of the legend? We have no idea.
Even further, because now I just want to talk about Wind Waker lore, because I can talk about Wind Waker lore now. You got me on it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Like you said, you brought up it alludes to Ocarina of Time a lot, and it says, you know, the hero disappeared and he never returned, right? Yeah. Which brings me to the big point that Toon Link is not a descendant of Link. He just has to prove himself to be. That whole theory is a thing, because
I have heard that theory that he's not actually the chosen hero.
He can't be, because that Link went back. That's the middle timeline. That has the hero in it, and descendants can come from that. There is no hero in the future, in the adult timeline anymore. Ego, bye-bye.
Ego, bye-bye. Well, it's an interesting thought to be like, because it's implied repeatedly, right, that obviously we have the Hero of Time, and then we have the Princess of Light, right? Or not even the Hero of Time, just like the Chosen Hero and the Princess of Light. And it's implied that Zelda's is obviously connected to her bloodline, right? Because it's always the princess. And they like knew Zelda was going to have these powers. So that feels inherited, but I almost feel like the hero is it really Link's descendant every time, or is it truly like the best of the best? Is it truly like the goddess chooses the right man for the job?
There is implications from Twilight Princess that make it seem like it's a descendant. So if you are playing Wind Waker, and if you talk to the giant fish, Din, I think is the giant fish's name, Jin, the giant fish, behind Offset Island.
Yeah, I don't think is that his name?
I think it's Jin.
I hope you're right, but I'm gonna fact check you on this one.
Yeah, well, yeah, fact check me real quick. But whenever you approach him, you can't read the language.
He speaks Hylian.
Correct. So someone was able. There's apparently a way you can get it translated. Either somebody translated it, or there's something you can do in the game to get it translated. I think you have to like beat it and do a new game.
You have to beat it and do the new game plus.
Okay, yeah,
I have done that before.
So yeah, Jin talks about saying, he says something along the lines, he's not the chosen one. He needs to prove himself, essentially. Something along those lines.
I like that. For the record, his name is Jaboon.
Oh, sorry, Jaboon.
Which is supposedly a reference to Lord Jabu Jabu from Ocarina of Time.
Which actually makes a lot of sense. There's descendants. Well, okay, let's talk about how the fucking Zora evolved from Jabu Jabu to what they are now. How do we get Jabu Jabu to sign it?
I don't know where Lord Jabu Jabu, but like he's always there, right? Like he's in Ocarina of Time, he's in Wind Waker. He's not directly shown in Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, but they have that reference to him with like the giant fish. Like Zora's domain is made out of this giant fish with like a gaping.
He's in. I mean, there's a version of him in Tears of the Kingdom. The kingfish. I would.
Oh, you just mean the kingfish who's really like big? He's a big boy.
I would assume he's a descendant of those as well.
Well, I would put that on par with like the king from Ocarina of Time. Like they were both big, just like big chunky Zoras.
Is there something wrong with chunky Zoras?
No, not at all. I'm just saying I don't think that directly correlates them with Jabu Jabu. Jabu Jabu is always like this. I guess in Wind Waker he has an education. He can speak highly. Lord Jabu Jabu in Ocarina of Time, he didn't have any thoughts going on in that brain. Not a single thought. You bring him a fish and he eats you.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't speak, he doesn't do anything like this, but like Jaboon in Wind Waker, he knew what was up. He was talking politics, he was talking legends, he was flying around.
Dude was smart guy.
It's also implied that Lord Jabu Jabu dies somewhere in between the child timeline and the adult timeline because he just disappears from where he was.
Do you see him you don't see him in the adult timeline at all?
No, not at all. Like the place where he's resting in the child timeline becomes frozen over and like flat. He's not there.
Interesting. How do you have a kid?
I don't understand the Zoras. Apparently they evolve in and out of the Zelda timeline at whim.
They evolve into birds.
Or I should say Nintendo's whim. They evolve in and out of the timeline. They are a very... Because then even... And I like what they did with them in Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild, where they all had different colors and then also different like types of fish. Like, Sidon is very much a shark, but there's been some that have been like more dolphins or just like other types of fish, whereas like in Ocarina of Time and other games they were just like these blue people. They were just basically people who were blue.
Yeah, they were all blue.
They were all anemic.
Okay. I think I have some kind of structure. We have about 30 minutes, so I think I have some kind of structure to kind of discuss actual timeline and thoughts. Okay.
Confusing?
Yes, always confusing. We're going to start... you have the timeline in front of you. So we're going to start Skyward Sword. Let's go by Hyrule Historia if possible, because we know
Okay.
that's canon.
Well, they changed it at one point.
Oh, that's right. They changed it in the encyclopedia.
All right, let me look. I'm pulling up the specific Hyrule Historia one. All right, I got it.
I think the only change, excuse me, the change was one of the games stayed in the hero loses timeline. It just switched with another. It was something along the lines of, I can't even remember. I think like the Legend of Zelda, like Zelda 2 comes after A Link to the Past or something like that. I don't fully remember, but
Oh wait, this weird video popped up. Stop.
I don't like videos.
Okay, so I have the timeline in front of me. Do you just want to like go through the timeline?
Yeah, and I already know I can recite the first four, I think.
Okay, go for it.
All right, Skyward
I believe
Sword.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Skyward Sword, Four Swords, Minish Cap, Ocarina.
You got Minish Cap and Four Swords
Dang it. Swap.
messed up. Because see, the evil god is born in Minish Cap and he's resurrected in.
Yeah.
But
Those games have my favorite villain, Vadi. So.
Let's talk about this, right? Okay. So it says right before in the Minish Cap, Hyrule Kingdom is established. So
Oh.
you could put the Zonai in the era of prosperity, which leads you into the Minish Cap and Four Swords. But like again, where are they? Where are the Zonai? And did the what you could ask yourself is, did the Zonai somehow evolve from the Hylians that remained
In the sky.
in the sky? Which doesn't make sense because they had been in the sky for a really long time, had shown no signs of evolving. But if like,
Well, you've got to remember, changes happen subtly, like every century or so. No, less than that, like every decade. Like currently, we're in the middle of people having some kind of bone here, and other people's don't have the bone in their arm. I know you can't see me, but like in your like arm and wrist, some people have this long bone and some people don't. Which begs the question: the people in the sky, over time, could have made these changes to the people on the ground. Now that they're in a new environment, new, air, I guess. I don't know how to say it. But
like,
they're not as evolving in the same way.
but they would have had to come from the sky. Like that was their whole thing, was that they came from the sky, right? They descended like freaking aliens upon the Hylians.
So then,
And that's just so weird to me because like if they had truly come down, like let's say this, what we're imagining is correct, and they truly came down before Minish Cap, right? I do not feel that is long enough after Skyward Sword that people would have just simply forgotten the people in this. Right? So like
Yeah.
I don't know why they would have come down from this. I like, it doesn't make sense.
okay. To put your mind at ease of how they forgot, it had only been 2 years, and everyone in Hyrule forgot about Link in between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh my god, you're so dumb.
They're all kind of dense.
I like that drives me nuts, which isn't the point to talk about, but like if they can remember Skyward Sword or have specific places for Skyward Sword all the way in Tears of the Kingdom, then I feel like in this very short jump in between Skyward Sword and Minish Cap is not enough for this entire alien species to come down. And for all of the people in the sky to move to the earth.
So,
because they don't. Like, right? Like, at the end of the game, Zelda and Link stay on the surface, and Groose was going to stay on the surface and take care of Impa, but then Impa dies. Spoiler alert.
For those who haven't played Skyward Sword, and even though it's a 12-year-old game now.
Play it. Impa dies, and he's like, okay, well, my purpose on the surface is done, and he and his friends jump back on their loft wings and go back up to the sky, right? Like, so people stayed. Most of them stayed.
Ugh, it's so complicated.
I was just kind of under the impression that, like, Zelda and Link were, like, Adam and Eving it on, like, the surface, right? And that maybe, like, eventually some more people did come down and, like, help restart the Earth. But, like, there weren't a lot of people on Skyloft. There weren't a lot.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think you're right about the Adam and Evening it. I mean, Well, then again, no, there'd be incest involved. Other people would have had to come down. Unless Groose and Impa.
Bruce probably went back and like married some girl there and then brought her down. I'm assuming like the younger generations probably came down. Like Pippet probably, and his girlfriend, I don't remember her name because she's not as important as Pippet.
Hold on. Are you saying that Groose is not a man of culture who would do Impa? Groose wouldn't do Impa? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Impa's dead. I don't know how to tell you that. Impa's
I know, dead. But like, look.
Impa is dead.
We don't know what happened while we were gone before, like, she died.
He's dead.
No, yeah,
she's 100% dead.
No, but look. Groose is down there. She hadn't died yet. We left to go do some shit.
Okay, but like, what does that result in? Like, there's no endgame here. She's gone. She's dead. This doesn't result in Groose staying on the surface and like repopulating the earth.
Oh man, what if Pippet's, or is it Pippet or Pippin?
It's Pippet.
Yeah, Pippet. Yeah, what if one of his kids is the new Link? What if one of his descendants is the new Link?
That would be so good because Pippet deserved it. If Link had died in this timeline, Pippet would have picked up the map. No, Groose would have done it.
Okay,
Groose would have done it because he loves Zelda and he would have done it.
Okay, who are you marrying then? Sidon or Pippet?
Groose. What are we even talking about?
Correct answer. All right, she passes. We move on.
What are we even debating here?
The good Groose is the definition of Gaston if he learned the errors of his way before it was too late.
He was a good boy, you know? Like,
well, he was a bad boy, and then he's like, I'm kind of being a dick right now.
I'll be a better boy. He learned to be a better boy. Like, his whole journey was about learning that he wasn't the hero, and he needed to learn to take a step back and find a role, like, that he could thrive in. And he did. He made this whole big, like, railroad with, like, a bomb throwing machine. And is, like, the only reason that we didn't die.
He did that faster than our roads get fixed here in New Orleans. FYI.
Right? Like,
he did it so quick.
A one-man show, and he did all of that. Like, forget it. Bruce would have easily picked up the hero mantle, like, if Link had died.
Going down the timeline, we have Minish Cap, which Minish Cap introduces Vati, which technically is one of Demise's creations, even though he does not get the screen time he deserves. Not really important in Minish Cap or in Four Swords, but you learn about the Four Sword. I didn't play regular Four Swords. I played Four Swords Adventures. So when we get there, I can talk all about that.
It's your favorite. I do know that much.
It's my favorite 2D.
Your favorite? Okay, favorite 2D.
Next is Ocarina. Then.
I guess. I'm like so lost. Are we still trying to figure out where the Zonai are in all this? Or are we just going?
Oh, we're just going down the timeline.
Okay. Well, so Ocarina of Time is obviously the big turning point, right? Because you have the heroes defeated, which leads to like Link to the Past, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, Link's Awakening, whatnot. And then you have the hero successful split into the child and the adult.
Yes.
Which you go. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you finish.
I was just gonna say where if he stays as a child, he obviously goes to Majora's Mask because that's the only confirmed direct sequel. And then obviously that leads to Twilight Princess and your wonderful Four Swords adventure.
I have a gripe.
I can't wait to hear it.
I have a gripe. Not necessarily. This is not Ocarina's fault. This is Nintendo's fault 1,000%.
Oh, you have a gripe with Ocarina. Of course you do. I can't believe we waited this long.
I just said it wasn't a gripe with Ocarina.
Okay.
It's with Nintendo. It's with how they describe what happens after, because timeline split makes sense when it comes to the child timeline and the adult timeline. I'm not dissing Ocarina. I'm yelling at Nintendo.
Yeah.
But they call the hero loses a separate timeline, but it's not the same though. Is the problem? The other two are a timeline because Link goes back in time, which he's back in that time. That's its own time stream. And then he was in a separate time stream that he teleported to. Obviously, they're going to go different directions. The hero loses is not a new timeline. It's a new event. It's not the same. I don't know really how to explain this without going into physics and game theory, but it doesn't constitute timeline. This is why I'm saying it's not Ocarina's fault they did this. This is Nintendo's fault for their janky ass, make no sense timeline. I digress. That's just my big gripe. You can't say that they're two separate timelines when they're just two separate canon events. Are you good?
Kind of following you.
It's parallel universes. It's parallel universe.
Yeah, I think the timeline, the use of the word timeline is difficult to use when it comes to Ocarina of Time, where we literally are dealing with two different time streams because he's going between the 7 years. Whereas, like, the rest of the games, we don't really have that.
Adult timeline and child timeline are timelines. The other one is a separate universe, parallel universe. A separate parallel universe. The other two are
okay.
Yeah. Those two, you can't even call them parallel universes because they do collide at some points. They're connected universes that are separated, but the other one is a separate parallel universe. Does that make more sense now?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I think. That's the problem I have, is because they call the heroes defeated a timeline, but it's not. It's a whole separate universe.
Reflected in, if you look at the chart, the way it looks, it like goes off on its own and goes into its own. Whereas like the Hero Successful does like branch off from the same.
Did they do that in Hyrule Historia?
Yeah, like
okay.
So when you look at the hero, it's like Ocarina of Time, and then going out to the left and like over on its own is the Heroes Defeated. And then when you go down, there's the Hero Successful, and that branches off into two timelines. It's not like it branches off into three from the same thing.
Okay. Well, we can.
I think it distinguishes them.
Okay, if that's the case, I feel a little bit better about it. Then we still shouldn't call it a timeline unless we're talking child and adult, because yes, those are timelines. But I feel better about that. Once again, this is not Ocarina's fault. This is not a gripe with Ocarina. This is the fact that I took a game theory class, and now that I know what I know, it's like, damn,
bothering you
a little bit. And this should not be taken as a Blake hates Ocarina take. It's really not. This doesn't make goddamn sense.
My cat's here.
Bean!
I thought you all would be very excited for that.
Okay. Let's quickly go through The Hero Loses, because there's a lot of great games in it. I don't think you've played any of them, actually.
I have not played a single one. I haven't played Link to the Past. I haven't played Oracle of Seasons and Ages. And I have also not played Link's Awakening.
There's also Zelda 1 and Zelda 2.
I haven't played those either.
You don't have to play either of those. They're not very story heavy. But A Link to the Past is phenomenal. It is a wonderful game, and I love it.
That one and Link's Awakening are on my list.
Link's Awakening is the same Link as A Link to the Past. This is just events that happen right after.
The Sealing War is what it's called.
Yes.
The era of light and dark.
Yeah. There's also Triforce Heroes, I think, falls somewhere in there, and same with a Link Between Worlds, but I didn't play either of those. So she's distracted.
Sorry, I was dealing with my cat.
But yeah, I mean, there's not really much to talk about because I've only played two and a half of them.
Wait,
you guys couldn't see it, but Emily's mom held up Bean. Y'all couldn't see it. It was great. Okay.
He's doing great. I was like that last like 2 minutes with me trying not to be distracted by my cat jumping around and then my mother coming to collect him. Okay, wait. So we're talking about the child era?
Yeah, we can move on to the child era because there's, like I said, there's not much we really can discuss in the Hero Dies timeline, and I can accept that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom can reconnect for the child and the adult timeline. The Hero Loses timeline, there's no way that can connect. From what I've seen, there's no way that can connect, and I will reject that till the day I die.
I guess I don't know about the Adventure of Link, which is confirmed to be the last in that timeline. Like, where does it end? Does it end in a way that it makes sense to eventually one day lead into... See, here's the thing about the timeline that is so... You know, like we talked about, there's thousands of years in between these games sometimes where, like, I'm of the belief that anything could happen in that timeline almost. Where I'm like, all right, sure, I guess that could have happened in 1,000 years.
Yeah, but the Adventure of Link, I didn't play it. I heard never to play it, and I know it's a 2D side scroller. That's all I know. It's a Castlevania game, Zelda game.
I'm gonna pass on that one. And then that just leaves us with the child era.
Yeah. We have the child era, and then we've already touched on the adult era, which the adult era is also very short. It's only 3 games. It's Wind Waker, Spirit Tracks, and Band of Hourglass, which are all the same Link. So there's not much you can talk about there.
Here's what I'll say about the adult era is it obviously we know in Wind Waker that Hyrule is sunk, right? They leave it below the sea. Like the king, his last wish as he touches the Triforce is to let the children live and go off and start their own new land, to let Hyrule be a forgotten thing, right? Mm-hmm. Which then I haven't played Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks enough to know, but I'm assuming at that point, eventually a new Hyrule would be created, which in theory could be the Hyrule that King Rauru ruled over, right?
Yeah, which was my theory. That was my theory eventually.
But then it does say, after Phantom Hourglass, that a new continent is discovered. And then it does say that in Spirit Tracks, the evil King Malladus is revived. So it seems like they had their own kind of kingdom, evil king thing going on, where it doesn't really make sense for Rauru and his whole sages thing to be going on.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense in my brain.
Also, there's no... I guess, like, part of me feels like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have to come at the end of the child era, right? At the very least, because we have definitive things from, I guess maybe not Twilight Princess or Majora's Mask, but we do have definite things from Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword, right? Yeah. That I feel like would have been destroyed when Hyrule was destroyed in the Wind Waker time.
Yes.
So, like, the fact that they're still around and existing makes me feel like
they were just underwater. They weren't necessarily completely destroyed. Remember, all those buildings, like the Temple of Time, is just in ruins. It's not completely gone. It could have just been underwater, and some of the stones and stuff fell off eventually. But
like Great Sea in Wind Waker is never, unless it does strictly go to Breath of the Wild, it's never like drained, right? Like.
Isn't that what you see when you're killing Ganon? Is it literally draining? Going away?
No, it's filling up.
I think it goes away, though, eventually, because, yeah.
The kingdom is filling up. Like, the kingdom of Hyrule is sinking and forgotten. Like, that is why, at the end, you get the little air bubbles. And the king stays under the water and drowns, because the whole time the place is, like, filling up with more and more water. And at the end, he's like, let Hyrule be in the past, let it go, and it remains sunk.
Yeah. Well.
So I feel like that means that, if there's stuff from Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword that survive until Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it probably is most likely the child era.
Yeah.
But like
that
again,
begs the question: where did the Rito come from?
Nintendo's exhausting. The rules are made up, and like I truly so the original reason I pulled up this timeline was to try to find a spot where the Zonai could exist, where it would make sense. And I have to believe, at the end of the day, the only way I can parse this in my mind and make it make sense is that somewhere when the timelines converged, right, a new Hyrule was founded. Like, the Hylians existed before this. Maybe Hyrule was not really in any of those, because I don't really know if they founded a Hyrule after Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
And the Zonai came down and founded the new Hyrule, and then, 10,000 later, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild. That's the only way I can parse it, that you would not have seen any Zonai influence or anything in any of the other games. And that's the only issue that I would take is that they call him the first king of Hyrule, which is just stupid, but that is a much smaller issue to me than trying to fit him in somewhere else in the timeline.
Well, we both know he doesn't come anywhere in the child timeline. It does not make sense for him to. Majora's Mask doesn't make sense, which is the same Link from Ocarina. Then you should have Four Swords or Twilight Princess?
Princess.
Twilight Princess. Bad Zelda game.
I also want to point out that, so like if we were going to take the reasoning that it's part of the Wind Waker timeline, or it comes after the Wind Waker timeline because the Rito are in it, and the Rito only evolved from the founding of the Great Sea, what happened in the Gerudo? Because they also were not in the Wind Waker. They weren't in the Wind Waker timeline.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of convergence. I can accept a convergence between the adult and child timelines, because once again we've already seen that those timelines overlap. It makes sense that they can overlap again. I can understand that. And I can get past that.
It's Heroes Defeated that you don't like the convergence of.
Yeah, the Heroes Defeated cannot. There's no way it can converge over. What?
I accept that. I don't know enough to say it can't, but like I could accept that it's just the merging of the two. Right?
Now, I once again will say, some of the greatest 2D Zelda games do come from the Heroes Defeated timeline. Like I said, Link's Awakening is a phenomenal game, and same with A Link to the Past and A Link Between. I haven't played A Link Between Worlds, but I've heard wonderful things.
I think A Link Between Worlds on here.
That if it's Hyrule Historia, it hadn't come out yet as a 3DS game.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were your next thoughts?
But yeah, but now if we go down the adult timeline, I'm trying to think of significance that may have come from when I think of the hero loses timeline, nothing significant carries over that I can think of other than, props as DLC or whatever in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, whatever. And those aren't parts of the world. That's just hey, you got this thing from A Link to the Past. Yeah. Or from the CDO game that nobody talks about. And so, in the adult timeline, I'm trying to think what carries over. I mean, the tears obviously carry over from Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess.
Yeah. But, like, part of me feels like that's just... part of me has to wonder what's a reference and what is a real connection. Because at this point,
I think those are real.
Like Nintendo just cherry picked parts of the old games that it liked and then like remixes it. Like it takes all of the elements of the old game it likes, it puts it into a little box, it shakes it up, throws it into a blender, and serves it out. And it's like, here. Okay. It definitely resembles a lot of the things you liked, but we gave it a new name. Like the constructs versus the robots from Skyward Sword, or the tears versus the silent round little things you got, So they didn't bring back one of their favorite things, and I know it's one of their favorite things because they made him a whole game. They never brought back Tingle in Breath of the Wild. And we can thank the Lord every single day for that, can't we, huh?
I just want you to think, what would Tingle look like in this
Horror.
game?
Horror. I don't want to. Horrifying.
So, in Four Swords Adventure, this is not a spoiler because I know you, me, and our good friend Near Plasma plan to play this eventually together.
Yeah.
You are going to see him pop on the map at random points, and you'll see giant gems you're going to pick up. He's going to steal gems from you, and you have to rush to get them from him.
I like that you said he pops up on the map from time. Like, that literally sounds like a horror game. Like, you're just like...
He's just on a balloon.
No, I could just imagine, like, it's like nighttime, I'm playing this game by myself, and I'm like pulling up the map to try to figure out where something is, and all of a sudden like Tingle pops up, and I just scream more.
No, not on the. I meant on the world that you're looking at. It's not on the actual physical map that you in the game.
Oh, I was like, imagine just looking at this map, and all of a sudden Tingle like pops up. And
no,
like,
he just starts floating. He floats in on a balloon, and he grabs things, and he leaves.
He grabs things.
He grabs gems that you're trying. They're not called rupees, but they're little triangles, and that's your currency. I adore people shit on Four Swords Adventure because it's multiplayer. I adore that game. I played it single player.
You're about to say you adore Tingle, and we were gonna have words.
Oh no!
Have to fly to Louisiana to talk to you.
No, Tingle's creepy, and Tingle has done terrible, terrible things according to Four Swords Adventure, which I will not spoil to you.
I mean, he's done terrible things according to Wind Waker, where he had literal slaves on his island.
There may be a thing about him kidnapping too from Four Swords.
Yeah, see, here we go. He's a horrible little creature. don't like him whatsoever. He makes me incredibly uncomfortable.
He was a thing of horror in Twilight Princess. I had to think about it.
Twilight Princess?
I forgot he was, and then I pictured him in my brain. I'm like, this is true, isn't it? Hold on. I gotta look. Tingle.
I don't feel like he was he?
Yep, he absolutely was.
Where? When?
His name is No, it's not Perlo. I have a picture right here. Maybe he wasn't. Oh yeah, it's Perlo. Never mind. It's not the same guy. I lied to you.
This man isn't as scary. He definitely feels like a reference to Tingle, but he doesn't scare me the way Tingle does.
Oh no, I was thinking the Tingle and Hyrule Warriors witches.
Oh, okay.
Because I've seen that image a million times.
He's also in Majora's Mask.
I do know he's in Majora's Mask. That's his first appearance, technically.
I did not know that.
He's not in A Link to the Past. He's not in Link's Awakening.
Sorry, I'm going back to the overall timeline. I would really like to, before we open it up to chat to talk a bit or share their theories or whatnot, decide if we agree on where the Zonai have to be placed. And I feel like it has to be right before Breath of the Wild.
I can live with there. I can also live with After Spirit Tracks to some degree, to some small degree. Wait, that fits in that timeline.
That would be the same thing.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. That I was correct earlier, and you yelled at me.
Well, I wouldn't say it was in the adult era. I would say they converge, and then it goes into the Zonai era.
My head hurts.
It has to be its own thing. It simply must be its own thing. I cannot look back at the other Zelda games and try to figure out where the Zonai were or what was going on. It simply does not make sense.
Also, I lied to you. Tingle's first game was Oracle of Ages and Seasons, which I didn't play either of those. So,
well, now I can know that we can stay away from those games.
I heard they're some of the greatest 2D Zelda games as well. People love those games.
How can they win? I mean, I guess I love Wind Waker and Tingle's in that one, so it must be.
Yeah, you're the one who pushed me to play Wind Waker, so never forget, you pushed me to Tingle.
I did.
That sounded wrong.
Should we do you want to share any last thoughts before we talk to chat for a bit?
I'm pretty much covered. Do you have anything else you want to close on before we say our byes? And I do my outro?
I want to restate what I said at the beginning of this podcast, which is that the rules are made up and don't matter. Everything's made up and the rules don't matter. That is the reality of the Zelda timeline, unless we could agree that the Zonai somehow come at the end of the timeline, which I think is silly, and I don't think they should have existed in the first place, and that's my summary.
The Legend of Zelda Zonai Warriors coming to a store near you in March of 2024. I'm calling it now. And may this be a reference. If it comes out, I'm posting this all over the internet with the timestamp of July 18th, 2023 at 8:27 p.m. CST.
You'll be like that one Twitter meme where it's like internet users and it's like someone's throwing a ball at them and it's like Apollo and the gift of prophecy. Trying to be funny. Honestly, like, I think I would enjoy the Zonai more if I did have a prequel game. Give me a prequel game. Give me a game about the Zonai people, because then I will feel like they weren't just a prop.
Do it, but don't make it a Warriors game. Please. Oh, yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Cool. On that note, if you are watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit that like button. Follow us on Twitch channel. You can see us live.
Smash that like button.
You can Emily all over that like button and Blake all over that subscribe button.
What does that mean?
It doesn't matter. It gets the people going. And remember, once again, come follow us on Twitch if you want to see us live and join the after party. We will be posting the after party not too long after this. I hope you have a wonderful day. Emily, say goodbye to the wonderful people on the YouTube for the end of the podcast.
Thank you for listening to our absolute nonsense. And if you figure out where the Zonai belong in this timeline, let me know. Sure, want to know?
Let us know in those comments down below. We will try to read them, even though I know Emily did not watch our podcast at all or subscribe to the podcast channel on YouTube.
I can't even put the seconds right.
Oh, I knew it. All right. Bye, everybody.
My sister watched it, though, and then I got yelled at.
For what?
Because I said that Ocarina of Time was my first video game love, but I didn't accredit her with being the person who I watched play that game and got me into the game and then helped me with the game. She was very bitter about it.
I'm gonna give your sister a high five. Okay, ending the episode now. We're moving on to chat. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful time. See you in the after party.